Okay.
Alright, in any other shopping center, you guys see the entrance and the exit have alarms, right, for shoplifters, people that steal stuff? What about car alarms? They also have alarms for cars, at least some of them, just in case you open your car door open and then you hit the other car by accident. Well, today I brought this topic because it allows attention to live in a safe environment. But a basic alarm for shoplifting isn't enough. What if the shoplifter has a knife? Today, I'm going to talk about metal detectors and how it benefits the public and how it will be the first line of defense. When I mean by public, I mean hospitals and schools. I got this article in LA Times. In 1993, it was a typical chaotic in the emergency room in LA County, the USC Medical Center. That February day, Richard May was treating a patient in the waiting area when a man was ranting about a long wait. Then, without warning, the man pulled out a gun and started shooting, hitting May in the head, chest, and arms. The following year, 1993, the USC Medical Center, installed metal detectors. Now, 20 years after the attack, officials want metal detectors removed from parts of Los Angeles hospitals. These 20 years of metal detectors were keeping everybody safe in hospitals. Paul, with the name Kowalski, now 64 years old, and was one of the doctors that got shot in 1993. He described that the bullet shattered his arm and grazed his head. He suffered with his arm and has occasionally flashbacks. He said removing metal detectors doesn't make sense, as Paul Kowalski said that feels that metal detectors bring peace of mind. Now moving to a different direction. Now schools are having more impact in the last 15 or 10 years. Throughout my high school years, I've seen things that student brings that can consider to be a weapon, like showing their pocket knife. And at the time, I didn't care. And now looking back, shootings in schools and potential copycats have been endangering public safety. Before I start, there's a list of school shootings that happened over the years. The Sandy Hook Elementary shooting, 2012, 27 killed. Virginia Tech Massacre, 2007, 32 killed. And the Columbine Massacre shooting, 13 killed. I choose these schools because it showed the ages from elementary, high school, to college students that lost their lives. This shows without metal detectors, students can bring weapons into school grounds. By putting metal detectors, you have a chance of students to be safe from another student or someone coming in on campus. I'm not saying that alarm systems or lockdowns are being handled correct. They actually are. It's just adding metal detectors makes everything more safer. With metal detectors, it will decrease violence to schools. They prevent students from bringing guns and knives and other metal objects. The metal detectors may not look good, and they may not make the school look good, but it's necessary. With the number of students who have attacked other students in recent years. So the idea of using metal detectors to the public is to be the first line of defense, to live in a safer environment. Hospitals and schools were my major concerns because USA Medical Center had metal detectors, and this year they're going to remove them, which doesn't make sense after the doctor described his painful memory. For school, I'm willing to bet all my money if you put the most violent schools and put in metal detectors, at least 20% reduce violence. Thank you.
Dean, what did you think?
I like the structure of the essay. It was well set up. But it seems like your examples were kind of dramatic with like Sandy Hook, because I don't think the students were bringing the guns to campus. And you could also tell you're kind of nervous because you like talk and then pause and then talk and then pause. And it just kind of made the speech kind of seem jerky. And then, I don't know, maybe you should just practice it like night before. Besides that, it was alright.
All right. There are a couple things that I really liked. I liked the visualization that you had at the beginning with the analogy to the anti-theft devices at the stores and the people having alarms on their cars. And you're talking about how that generally is being used to make places safer or to reduce a problem. And then you kind of make this little comparison to the use of metal detectors as a way of keeping people safe. And I like that idea. I think that works well as a detention device. And then you have a good setup of the example from the shooting at the LA County Medical Center. You talk about it in pretty dramatic terms and what happened subsequently when they put in the metal detectors. What's interesting, like I said, like I was thinking as you were talking about it, is they're talking about removing the metal detectors now, and the question that immediately popped in my head is why? Is there some reason that they are talking about it? Can they not afford them? Do they think they're not working? Especially when you have that very good quote from the doctor that talks about how it gives peace of mind to know that those things are there. And if there haven't been any shootings in the last 20 years in the LA County Medical Center, then it appears that they have been at least somewhat successful. I think you have a little bit harder time applying all of the school shooting things because those shootings, of course, maybe Columbine, the metal detectors might have worked because the shootings were done by students during school hours. But the other attacks that you mentioned, the Sandy Hook thing, for instance, the guy, I mean, you didn't need a metal detector. The guy's coming in with an assault weapon. You know, it's not like it was a secret that he's got it. It's not secreted in his waistband and he's hiding it from people. So I don't think a metal detector would have hurt in that situation. In the Virginia Tech context, for instance, that's on a college campus. Unless the campus was closed, it would be a little bit difficult to do that because the shootings took place in several places. I don't know how you close that any kind of campus like that. SC's tried to close itself up a little bit, and I still think you would have problems doing that given the number of people that go in and out every day. So, but doing it at a level at the high schools, for instance, or elementary schools, there is a lot of experience doing that, and I think that you talk about that, but you don't have any evidence that talks about those particular points. I didn't see a preview or hear a particular structure. I did hear good stories and a couple of good pieces of information here and there. I understand the inference that you're trying to make. I gotta agree with Dean about the delivery. It's just problematic because it feels under-rehearsed. You are reading way too much. I don't know that you ever really look at the audience at all. And you need to be much more natural. I mean, here we are. We're 14 weeks into the term here, and you should be able to kind of look at us and talk to us a little bit more. You shouldn't be reading off of the cards at this point. And so I know it might sound like I'm being a prick about these kinds of things, but let's face it. This is the point at which we should be at that point. Okay. So. Fortunately for you, next time, the next speech that you're doing in here is an impromptu speech. You won't have any notes, so you won't have any other place to look. All right.